Well, hello, boys and girls. My name is Arlene, and today I choose recovery over drugs and alcohol and codependency by the power of the Jesus. And thank you, Champ, for that wonderful and loving introduction. I love you too. Now, I'd like to say that I'm glad to be here today, but to tell you the truth, I'm really not. I'm not glad to be talking to this camera. And although I'm glad all of you are joining in tonight, I totally wish that you didn't have to, and that we were seeing one another live and in person, but no. Instead, here we are. You are all the way over there, and I am over here. I am playing in my sandbox all by myself. And just like I read to my grandsons from The Cat in the Hat, the original one, the only one written by that great prophet, Dr. Seuss, I sat there with Sally. We sat there, we two. And I said, how I wish we had something to do. Too wet to go out, too cold to play ball. So we sat in the house and did nothing at all. And all we could do was to sit. And we did not like it, not one little bit. And friends, I'm right there with them. I do not like it, not one little bit. In fact, I, for one, am sick of the sickness of COVID-19. I am sincerely and thoroughly sick and tired of COVID-19. I am over it. Is anyone else who is in the sound of my voice done with COVID-19? Raise your hand and say, I am over it. I want to be done with hearing about it. All the people that it's making so very ill, the families it's affecting. I am done with COVID-19. I am over the sheltering in place, the 6 feet of space between humans, then the news reports. The endless news reports, on and on and on, the news reports. And by the way, I wonder what the news reported before that was so important, because they're not reporting any of that now. Have you noticed that? They're not reporting anything except COVID-19 nowadays. You know, I wonder, when this is all over, will the newsrooms just be empty because there's nothing to talk about now that there's no COVID-19? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? And you know what? Forgive me as I rant, please, because I am just really over all of this. And I know I'm not alone. I know each and every one of you who is listening today is sick and tired of it all too. You know, I think that recovering people like you and me are particularly susceptible to COVID. And I don't mean the virus COVID. What I mean is that folks like you and me who are recovering from addictions and afflictions and compulsive behaviors like drug and alcohol addiction or codependency or anger or abuse issues or food addiction or sexual compulsion, all these things and more that have made us so sick that we almost died. Folks like us are susceptible to falling off our wagons because of another type of plague that runs parallel to COVID-19, and it's this. The plague of isolation. The plague of isolation. You know, when I play in my own sandbox too long with only my own toys and my own feelings and my own ideas and my own decisions, I get a little off my rocker. When I'm isolated too long, I get to thinking that all kinds of ideas are good ideas, like binge watching Tiger King, for instance, and that is a bad idea. That is a bad idea on so many different levels. I am just saying, I can't even begin to tell you. But even Tiger King isn't as bad as binge watching porn when you're a porn addict, or eating a box of Twinkies when you're a food addict. Or dialing your abusive ex just to talk to someone when you've got relationship issues. Or thinking that just one beer is okay when you're an alcoholic or addict like me, because there's literally no one around to see you do it. And what's one anyway? It's just one, right? What could it hurt? Now I know it's just downright crazy to think of actually following through with doing any of these things, but there's something that happens in our minds when we're alone in our own sandbox for too long. We're in a bad neighborhood when we isolate, because isolation can easily lead to depression and then hopelessness. Just like the COVID plague restricts an infected person's capacity to breathe, leaving them sicker and sicker as the air can't flow to the different parts of their body. The plague of isolation restricts our necessary human interaction, leaving us emotionally and spiritually sicker and sicker and sicker as the flow of community is cut off. Now, everyone processes isolation differently. It's not the same for all of us. I get that. But the one thing that is the same is that for recovering people like you and me, too much isolation is dangerous. I just can't play in my own sandbox alone too long without experiencing disastrous results. Well, the thing is, God never intended for people to be alone all the time. In fact, back when God created the first human, God immediately saw that there was a big problem. And the book of Genesis tells us about it. What it says, "Then the Lord God said, it's not good that the human is alone. I will make him a helper that is perfect for him." That's Genesis 2:18. Do you know that human isolation was the first problem in the Bible? God said that it wasn't good for the first person he created to be all alone, and so God decided to create someone to help him in life. And God, you know what? God didn't just mean that statement to refer to having a romantic relationship either. No. God created you and me in his own image. And God's own image consists of three people interacting all the time: God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. So just like God is a social being, God created you and me to be social beings, being helpers to one another in this journey called life. God didn't create us to be independent of one another, no. And he didn't create us to be codependent on one another either, but he created us to be interdependent with one another. And so I want to look at those three things for just a sec. Okay, first, being too independent. That causes us trouble because we thought we knew everything. We wouldn't listen to anyone. Even codependent people like me suffer from independent thinking. And you know what? That sort of thing is going to get you in trouble every time, because independence blocks out everyone else and leaves me all alone. And if I'm the problem, then I can't be the solution. You know, even when I'm all about connecting to Jesus, it can't just be him and me up and down all the time. There has to be some all around to make what I'm hearing from God real. So independence isn't good for our recovery. Goodbye. And then there's being codependent. When we rely completely on others to give us some sort of sense of worth. When we help others to the point where we're hurting ourselves. And you know, even while codependent, we had our ears and our minds and our hearts closed to a healthy model of dependency. We didn't listen to anyone. You know, we recovery people tend to be a pretty stubborn lot, all in all. And if you resemble that remark, raise your hand and say, yeah, that's me. Well, yeah, that's me. For sure. Codependency is no more of a healthy, recovering model of interacting with other people than independence is. So, goodbye. Out it goes. God never intended us to be independent or codependent. Rather, his design for us was always to be interdependent with each other. Interdependent. Where we're strong, when others are weak, and we lean on the strong. When we're weak ourselves. God the Father depends on Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and Jesus depends on the Holy Spirit and God, and the Holy Spirit depends on Jesus and God. We're created to be interdependent with one another. And when we practice that kind of interdependency with one another, it's called being the church, which is actually why Jesus came to earth, to create a force to be reckoned with called the church. Now, I get it. For those of us who have some roots in traditional 12-step recovery like AA or Al-Anon or whatever, this language of being the church in order to stay clean and sober from those addictions and compulsive behaviors that once held us in chains, that language may make us want to protest that, no, we're not the church, but hang with me for just a second. Just hang in, okay? Because by saying that all of us are the church, all I'm saying is that we're in recovery together, helping one another, gathering together to follow God and to do his will together, which is really, if you think about it, what traditional 12-step meetings are all about. We're just a group of people who gather together to link hands and help one another seek God's will and his healing power. And you just heard Champ say it just a minute ago when he talked about what is Choose Recovery, right? He said, what is Choose Recovery? Well, we're a group of people with addictions, afflictions, and compulsive behaviors who gather together. When we come together to share our experience, strength, and hope with one another in a meeting, whether it be Al-Anon or Cocaine Anonymous or Sex Addicts Anonymous, doesn't matter. CODA, Choose Recovery. We're gathering as the church to seek God and to help one another recover. And that's how we stay clean and sober. That's how Jesus works in our recovering lives. He gathers us together to help each other. So maybe you can see the problem here when something like COVID-19 strikes. When we're forced into physical isolation, it's like crickets when it comes to our recovery meeting routines. We don't have any. For instance, I used to get into my car and go to Monday night Choose Recovery, and then on Thursday night I'd travel to my Thursday night AA home group, and on Friday night I'd hop over to the church to spend an evening with a couple of hundred of my friends at Choose Recovery. And that was just for starters for my recovery routine. That was my foundation. Then I'd attend other meetings in between. And then at all of these meetings, what would I be doing? I'd be talking with sober men and women. I'd be sharing in person at the meeting before the meeting and the meeting after the meeting. I'd sometimes go out to eat before or after some of these meetings. I'd usually see my sponsors several times a week. And then I'd be talking to other human beings all the time about my recovery issues, and I'd be helping them with theirs. And now, I don't physically see any of you. And I don't get into my car to go to any of these places. I'm here alone, playing in my sandbox. And it's a big change. And you know what? It's not a good one. Because what I said earlier is true. God looked at the first human he created and he said, it's not good that this person is alone. And God meant it then, and he means it still. Because the more isolation we experience, the more danger for depression or anxiety to take over. And then some hopelessness creeps in about when will this COVID plague end? Will it ever end? Then it's harder and harder to think about and engage in new recovery routines, even though the alternative is loneliness, despair, and recovery death. And so the spiral begins and continues. I get it. I'm living here in my sandbox as well. But let me be clear about who wants to separate you from the community you so desperately need. I'll tell you, it's not God. It's not God. We just heard that God is all about interdependence with one another. No, it's not God who wants us all alone. But there is someone who wants to separate you from the sheep of the herd, who wants to get you all alone so he can do you harm. And that one is the devil. He wants nothing more than to see you fall. But hear the good news. Jesus promises you the power you need to overcome the forces of isolation and make new routines happen, which includes a new take on the community we so desperately need. The mightiest of demons, even Satan himself, does not have as much power and authority as the weakest of believers who are filled with the Holy Spirit of God. And let me tell you why I know that. Way back in the day, Jesus' disciples returned from a ministry trip after being empowered by Jesus to cast out demons. How cool is that? And they were super excited about it. And Jesus encouraged them when they got back with these words that we find in the Gospel of Luke. Be encouraged yourself as you hear them. Jesus said, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. And that's Luke 10:19. So I want you to remember, never forget, that Jesus has given you the power and the authority to overcome evil. Now, I don't want you to go running out and find some poisonous snakes to handle or scorpions to stomp on to prove you have power. No, that's not what's going on here. The snakes and scorpions that Jesus is talking about here are the potential deadly results of the devil's attacks. But Jesus says you're safe from these when you ask for him, for power. Because all evil in the world, even sickness, death, oppression, it's the work of the evil one. Snakes and scorpions, they bluster, they rage in order to terrify the people of the world and sow fear and doubt. But the truth is that the least in the kingdom of God has authority to trample on them. And you know what that means? That means powerless you and me, imperfect you and me. lonely and depressed and isolated, you and me, the least in the kingdom, you and me, we have the power. You see, the only power Satan has in this age rests with his power to lie and deceive us into believing that his power is greater than God's and we are at his mercy. And it's simply not true. We have the power of God because he has given it to us when we said yes to Jesus and turned our life and will over to him in step 3 and received his Holy Spirit. And yeah, we may face setbacks, but the evil one has no real power to harm us if we turn to Jesus. See, alone, I get it, we're toast, but with Jesus, we're invincible. So, armed with the power of Jesus, now it's my responsibility to find new ways to care for my recovery. I totally need each of the 5 essentials that Champ just talked about earlier. And by the way, mark your calendars because Champ is going to be talking about these 5 essentials about 2 weeks from tonight. Mark your calendars. And again, those 5 essentials are Jesus, sponsor, 12 steps, meetings, and service. I am totally responsible for protecting my own sobriety in each of those areas. And one of those areas is community. So here's my question for you. How much time are you spending considering how to join new recovery communities or to form the community you need if you don't have it? Are you exploring every option available to you to keep you from falling? Because if you're not, it's time to. Because there's online 12-step meetings through Zoom. GoToMeeting. There's a thing called GoToMeeting. Join ones that are already going on at Choose Recovery and traditional meetings. Champ told you about some earlier, and he's going to tell you about them again before this is all over. And here's the deal. When you attend these new meetings, don't just lurk there. Chat in the chat boxes. Get some phone numbers. FaceTime with people you meet. And if it sounds like I'm talking French because you don't know what any of these phrases I'm using means, learn. God gave us a brain to use. Exercise it. And how about service? Does service have to go by the wayside because we're left alone playing in the sandbox because of social distancing and sheltering in place and self-quarantine and all of that? No. Go take a walk. Look around at your neighbors. How can you serve them? Think, pray. In the meetings that you're attending, offer yourself up to people there to help them through their tough times. Call the jail. Find out if you can send cards and letters. Think of what you can do for the essential workers you run into. Train your brain to think about how to serve people and how to connect in new ways, in new community. Use your power and authority given to you by Jesus to cast out the snakes and scorpions of this plague of isolation we're all in. I challenge you this week to give your phone number to several people in Zoom recovery meetings that you don't ordinarily go to. Go to some new ones. I challenge you to call and talk to several people you already know and tell them how you're really doing. And you know what? Ask them how they're doing too. I challenge you to think of at least one new way, one, that you can do service to your recovery community. You know, I'm going to end with this story found in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Here it is, a great book. It's a companion guide to the Life Recovery Bible. When you're planning your next moves in your recovery journey, it's good to have these things. And it's the story of Dave, the guy who spread AA to Canada in 1944. So, Dave had the ordinary alcoholic story. He went to jail, he was hopeless, he expected to die, yada yada, right? And then he heard about some folks in the United States who had gotten sober by a new method, and this method was called Alcoholics Anonymous. So he contacted the AA main office in New York, which was really hard to do because there was no internet or Facebook in 1944, and AA was only about 6 years old at the time and wasn't very well known, so he had to really look for it. So the New York office, which was like 2 people, with a phone, sent him a big book. And Dave began to receive a letter a day from some people who were recovering in the United States. And he wrote them back, and in this way, he stayed sober. Well, after 1 year of this, Dave received a letter from Bobby at the AA Central Office that said this: "You sound very sincere, and from now on, we will be counting on you to perpetuate the fellowship of AA where you are. You will find enclosed some queries from alcoholics. We think you are now ready to take on this responsibility." And enclosed were 400 letters from alcoholics in Canada. 400 letters. Can you imagine? Well, Dave answered every single one of them. It only took him a few weeks. And in his own words, this is what Dave says. He goes, as I look back on it now, I did everything wrong. But at least I was thinking of somebody else instead of myself. I had begun to get a little bit of something I'm very full of now, and that is gratitude. And you know what happened over time? A group began to meet in his home in Quebec. And out of that, the entire program of AA in Canada was birthed. So you might think, that's a great story, Arlene, but what's that got to do with me? Well, this isn't mean to guilt anyone, but my recovery is my responsibility and yours is yours. I have the power of Jesus and Christ in me, and so do you. I have my brain and you got one too. And there are ways to have community for me if I just maximize my every opportunity, and you can find the community you need as well if you maximize yours. You know, when I was early in sobriety, I heard people say, it didn't matter how I felt about it. When my butt fell off, I should just pick it up and go to a meeting. Only they didn't say but, right? But this is a Christian program, so I'm going to go with the word but, all right? You fill in the blank. So I want to end with this. It's a declaration. It's a benediction. Hear this. Turn off Tiger King. Tiger King. Bad. Bad. Tiger King will not help your recovery one little bit. Get out of your sandbox. Get out. Look up new meetings. Engage. Don't just watch them. Look around your own neighborhood. Look, there's probably ways that you can serve. Remember, you can cast out snakes and scorpions, and the Lord will be with you wherever you go, and so will I. I'm with you in the journey, and so are so many other people. We are the church. So let's pray. God, don't let us fall prey to the plague of isolation. Fill us with your power as we work our third step. Give us ways to connect with other people, people we know. And we know with all confidence that through us taking the old steps in new ways, you'll be with us even more. We thank you in advance for what you're going to do. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, back to you, champ. Go ahead, take it away. See what you have to say about it. Peace.